Good day. My name is Michael Molondo, and I'm going to present on the subject of Health Education 1 for the certificate level. And the purpose of this presentation is to serve as a guide for you to prepare and submit your assignments. There are 4 assignments that are actually given, and you are expected to submit all 4 assignments. So during this presentation, we're going to discuss all 4 assignments, and I'm going to give you some guidelines how to prepare, and then also when you have to submit your assignment. So I'm quickly going to browse through the assignments, the 4 assignments. The first assignment, or assignment number 1, is you have to explain and educate a community. You can choose any community, whether it's your local town, your village, which you choose, who are the community and why that specific community, and then you are going to give whether it's a speech, whether it's a workshop, or it's a teaching, or whatever you call it, or a talk show. You're going to talk on the differences of communicable and non-communicable diseases. It's 2 types of diseases that you get, and you have to know. Now, in your presentation, in your assignment, you as I say, you mention the community, why you choose the specific community, and then you're going to give in details, explain on what is communicable disease, and you're going to give a list of all the communicable diseases. Then again, non-communicable diseases, and during your discussion, then you also need to talk about the different symptoms of these communicable diseases, and then when you have these diseases, why do you need to go to your nearest health facility when you have this type of diseases? So it's very important that in your assignment you have to discuss the difference of those diseases. You have to explain how these diseases are being caused and why. So in the presentation that I'm going to give you, I'm going to discuss a little bit about these 2 diseases, but in your assignment it is important that you have to explain in detail with practical example when you are going to list those diseases, and differentiate the difference between the 2 diseases as much as possible. Assignment number 2 is we are going to look at the issue of nutrition of food, why food plays an important role for people living with HIV/AIDS. You're going to discuss about balanced diet, unbalanced diet, why nutrition, especially those that are on ART or on ARV. So these are some of the things that you have to discuss and that you have to mention when it comes to nutrition and food security. And then I'm going to explain more on this, what you have to do, what you have to look at, and what sources you can also use as part of your assignment. So assignment number 3 is going to look at the NSF, or the strategic framework, and then we're going to look at what factors drives the pandemic, the HIV pandemic, or we call them the drivers of the pandemic. You are going to explain in detail each driver or factor that caused HIV, the HIV infection or pandemic, and then you have to give practical example. And with the same notion, while you discuss these drivers, in your own opinion, you have to discuss on the successes. Did Namibia as a country achieve any success? If yes, why? If yes, what successes? List the successes. Explain, give details of all the successes we have achieved when it comes to the fight against HIV/AIDS. If Namibia failed, in which area did we fail? Which area do we need as a country to improve? So this is what you have to bring out in your assignment when it comes to assignment number 3. The 4th assignment is you have to look at the holistic approach of health. What is health? Why is health very important? Why do we need to understand the importance of health? Why do we need to improve our health? Why do we need to maintain good health? So in your assignment, you can bring out different kinds of health approaches, different techniques. You can talk about different health strategies that you can follow, and all as part of maintaining and you're maintaining a very good and a robust, healthy lifestyle. So this is what we're going to discuss during this presentation. And as I said also, this presentation is not the answer. It's just a guide that can help you what you need to look at when you are going to prepare your assignment and when you're going to submit your assignment. So we're going to look at the first assignment where we're going to look at the difference between communicable diseases and non-communicable diseases. So it's very important, the word communicable and the word non-communicable. So I always tell my students, you can use the word communication, communicable, so which means it's between two people. So it's communicate information, transfer of information from one person to another person, and that's the same with communicable diseases. It's a spread of disease which can be transferred from one person to another person through the passing of a germ. So germ is like words. So when I talk to somebody face to face, there is this communication, there is this exchange of words. Now that's the same with communicable diseases. You exchange germs. Germs cannot be seen. Germs are invincible, but they are very small microscopic organisms that can be airborne or that can be spread from one person to person. It can also be in different kind of microscope which can be caused by virus and so on. Now germs, as I say, are microorganisms that can get into your body through infection. It can be airborne, it can be body to body, it can be by contact. So there are so many reasons how you can, but it's always transferable from one person to another person. If you are in a situation where somebody else is having the disease, it can be transferable. Now I'm going to give you the type of communicable diseases that you can get. The first one is called flu. So when I'm having flu, I can transfer those germs into you. So if I'm using a handkerchief and I sneeze in it and having flu, and you, without knowing, take my handkerchief and use the same thing, germs, viruses can be transferred, and you can also get flu. The other thing is chicken pox. We all know chicken pox, so that's why people that are suffering from chicken pox are isolated, because it can be transferable. The HIV/AIDS, the HIV virus, it's transferable from person to person through sexual contact or through exposure of lubricant, blood, saliva, blood, of course. Is one of the main cause of transfer, body fluid. But it's always from one person to another. The other one is meningitis, hepatitis A, B, C, go on. So these are diseases which can be transferable from one person to another person. So that's what we call communicable disease. Now, in your assignment, you can give more details on communicable disease and how are they caused. What are the causes of these communicable diseases? So you can explain in detail, and you can also give some practical example on these communicable diseases. Second thing is you're going to talk about non-communicable diseases, something that cannot be transferred from one person to one person. It is what we call a lifestyle diseases. And most these kind of diseases are not contagious like communicable diseases, but they are lifestyle diseases, and it can develop over time, and this is what we call the slow killers. It is a sickness that can be in your body for many years until one day, you only discover that it's too late, and because of your lifestyle that you had. And in your assignment, you have to explain how do people get non-communicable diseases. What are the causes of this non-communicable disease? How can we prevent this non-communicable diseases? So it's very important. And even in your presentation of your assignment, when you give the list, you can say what are the causes of those non-communicable diseases, how can you prevent it, all of this you can bring it out in your assignment. So there is a list of non-communicable diseases that I've given, like heart attacks, high blood pressure, stroke, cancer, diabetes, arthritis. So these are all what we call non-communicable diseases, which are not contagious. It cannot be transferred. It's not transferable, but it's a lifestyle disease. So in your assignment, you have to bring out those difference. So you can start with it, and then the causes, and then of course what are the remedial action, or what are the solution to address these diseases. Also you can talk about prevention measures that you can follow, which is very important. So we're going to go now to the second assignment. And in the second assignment, it's very important that you need to know what is nutrition. And I will encourage you that you will make reference to your study guide or your study manual, and also other references where you explain what nutrition is and why nutrition is very important. Secondly, then you have to discuss the link between HIV and nutrition. Why is nutrition very important for HIV? And what impact does it have on people living with HIV/AIDS? And there are so many examples that you can give, but there are only two things that I will quickly highlight for you so that you can understand what is needed in this assignment. I will encourage you that you can go and read more about this, but there are certain things that you have to look at. One of the things that can have negative impact on the HIV status is when you don't have nutrition or a balanced diet, you might lose weight, and the HIV can progress in your body. And as you can see there, it's very important that you have to make sure that you cannot lose more than 10% of your body weight. You have to gain weight, and you have to make sure that you keep balanced weight. And there's two ways why people are actually losing weight over time. Is number one is because of lack of nutrition, lack of food, and there's two things that can happen. As you neglect your nutrition, your body weight declines, and of course the HIV infection becomes very high, or it will increase, and you become vulnerable. The second thing that can happen, of course, is not just the infection, but the infection in your body can also become very serious. So it's important that in your assignment you have to discuss the balance of two, and why nutrition and HIV is very important. You can also look at the issues of poverty, because the reason why people don't have food is because of poverty. Discuss the aspect of poverty and the lack of food. And people that are on ARV, why do they default when they don't have nutrition? Because it's very important that you have to look at that. Now, I have got this from the World Health Organization. They are looking at the different aspects, the diet or the dietary requirement, which is required for somebody that are HIV positive, that are on ARV. Now, there are three kinds of nutrients that you need, kind of categories of food that you need. I mean, it's the issues of energy, protein, fat, and micronutrients. Now, they give example there why it's very important. So you can also bring up this issue. You can look at the World Health Organization, you can look at UNAIDS, you can look at other, why you need to have a balanced diet. So this is what it's all about, is you only explain the purpose, the importance, the reason of a balanced diet. So once you've got this balanced diet, it can actually influence you to have a healthy lifestyle. So in your assignment, you have to bring out and you have to explain in details what nutrition is about, food security, why it's important for your HIV status, and why you have to use it. And as you know, it's very important for everyone, for all population, to make sure that they have. And you can also look at other aspects of other document sources, like for example the Harambee Prosperity Plan. You can look at the Vision 2030, the NSF National Strategic Framework, and so those are some of the sources that you can also use as part of you discussing your assignment, and then also addressing your assignment. So it's very important that you have to look. Now, just on the other point is good to have nutrition, very positive. Then in your assignment you can discuss the negative impact, the disadvantage when it comes to malnutrition. And what malnutrition actually say is you don't have a balanced diet, you don't have a healthy diet, so which means you don't eat healthy. That's actually what it means. Now, there is what we call the vicious circle, and I got this from the sources RCQHC, and Fund is also using this. It's quite old, but it's still relevant. Now, the first thing what happened is the block on the top there is when you have a poor nutrition, what does it happen? When you don't eat healthy, is you will lose weight. Your muscles become weak. And of course, your deficiency, your immune system, then as you see the next arrow, it's your immune system is being affected. So which means you've got a very poor immune system. You cannot fight the virus. Your antibody becomes very, very weak. So which means your infections, opportunistic infection within your body increase. So what happened, the next arrow is increased vulnerability to infection. Is there are different opportunistic infection that comes your way. So you get a flu, and the flu becomes so cold, and then it goes into TB, and then it becomes a worse type of TB. So there are so many diseases and infection that can come. For an example, you can have a cough, and then just out of a cough your lungs get infected, and then at the end you can get lung cancer. So those are the opportunistic diseases that you can get. And the next arrow, of course, is because of your weak body, your appetite decrease. You don't want to eat anymore because your body is too weak to eat. You can't eat healthy food. You are dependent on nutrients, on liquid. And of course, if that does not happen, then the cycle just go on and on and on and on. And so some people they get out of this vicious cycle, but some people are not lucky enough, and they find themselves in a situation where they compromise their health, and then at the end becomes very fatal and death. So that's with regard to assignment number 2. So you can bring out those aspects, as I've said earlier. Assignment number 3 is looking at what causes the HIV pandemic. I will ask you to look at the National Strategic Framework of Namibia. There are very good information on the NSF when it comes to the drivers of the pandemic. But in a nutshell I would like you that when you are going to address this, you are not just going to mention the list or the drivers. You are going to explain each driver or factors that contribute to the HIV pandemic, and you're going to explain with practical example. You have to give example as much as possible. So there are a list there, multiple concurrent partnership, which means that you have more than one partner. Intergenerational sex, which means you're having sex with an older person, where you have the sugar daddies, sugar mummies. Alcohol abuse, people that are cohabitating, people that are having number of sexual and people that are declining in when it comes to marital or committed relationship, transactional sex where you have sex work, prostitution, people selling the body just for money or material goods, and so on, the population that's very high level. And in your assignment, when you are going to address the NSF and this factors or these drivers, then number two, which is very important, you have to discuss what successes did Namibia as a country achieve when it comes to, did we address these drivers? Did we? And in your submission of your assignment for each driver, you have to say, was it successful? Like, for example, multiple and concurrent partnership. Did Namibia address? What strategies did Namibia apply based on multiple concurrent partnership? For example, did they succeed in it or did they fail? Why did they fail? What is the remedial action? What do you recommend or what do you propose? And then you go to the second one, intergenerational sex. You go alcohol abuse, and then you discuss this aspect of, did Namibia achieve any success or did Namibia fail? And if Namibia failed, what did we do to address this? And it's very important, and even in your assignment, it will be very helpful if you can bring other best practices of other SADC countries, like for example, Zambia, South Africa, Botswana. Is there any best practices that you can learn or that Namibia can adopt to address its challenges when it comes to the drivers of the pandemic? So in your assignment, give this example, discuss this in detail, and it will be very helpful if you can also discuss that. So as I say, the NSF, you address the pandemic. You address the drivers that caused the pandemic. You look at the successes that Namibia achieved, the failures. You compare to other southern or SADC countries, and then you come up with your own conclusion or your own recommendation. So it's very important that in your study, in your assignment, that you have to follow this guideline. So we are going to the fourth assignment, which is looking at health. And health, in your assignment, it will be very good if you can give the World Health Organization definition of health. What is health? Now, health is very important, and when you look at health, there are many aspects of health. Now there is a word which we call holistic. Now, I'm not going to give you the answer. This is just a guideline, but in your assignment, you have to research and look at what is holistic. What does holistic means? When you talk about holistic health, what are we talking about? When we talk about holistic therapy, what are we talking about? So these are some of the things that you can do. So I'm going to share a few things with regard to holistic health that can help you. And when you're going to do your assignment and you're going to research, look at different resources, you can look at this. The first thing that you must look at holistic is it covers three dimensions of any human being. It covers the mind, the body, and the spirit. Now, in your assignment, you have to explain the mind when it comes to mental health. What does mental health mean as part of the holistic health? Number two, you talk about the body health. What does it mean about body, physical, biologically? You have to talk about that in your assignment, give example. Then thirdly, your spirit health or your spiritual health, you have to discuss in detail with practical example what is spiritual health. So mind, body, spirit is what makes a person whole. That's what we call holistic. That's what we call comprehensive. That's what we call a whole person. Because you can be mentally healthy, but physically, if you can sick, it might affect your body. You can have mental and bodily health, but if your spirit is crushed and you don't have hope and you are hopelessness, then it might affect your body. And it's very interesting that even medical practitioners practitioner will tell you that most of your sickness in your body is not physical, but it is mental, because you believe that you are sick, because your mind tells you are sick. Or it can also say that many people have lost hope in life. They are hopeless. They don't have hope in anything in life, and they feel they want to give up. And because of that, it causes depression, and at the end of the day, it influences their body. That's why most people are suffer from headache, migraine, just because of depression, and it all starts with someone that's spiritual, not health. So there are different therapies that is being followed, and I give a few examples that you can use, but you can also in your assignment bring out other therapies and techniques that can be used to make sure that a person is having a holistic health. So if you give a list of each therapy, you have to explain what is the therapy, how is it applied, why is it applied, and how does that contribute to holistic health. Now I give you an example of a few. You can get more. The first one is physical wellness, which talks about the body, the physiology of the person, that wellness, that health. And then of course medicine. Nowadays people talk about alternative medicine. We have tablets, we've got liquid medicine, but there are also other holistic or alternative medicine, which is very much more important, especially when it comes to indigenous knowledge. Most people are using herbs. Most people are using plants. They are using leaves. They are using seafood. They are using so different other thing, alternative than the modern medicine. So, and some people are using, different herbs, as I say. So these are some of the medicine they are using. Some people are using acupuncture, like the Chinese way. Some people are using massage. Some people are using reflexology. So there are so many ways that you can use when it comes to holistic medicine. Then nutrition. Holistic, it's not just meat. You need to think about vegetables. You need to think about different ways, and it's very important. And what holistic nutrition is looking, it's actually looking at a balanced diet. Meditation, very good, where you reflect and you look at yourself, and that you just allow your mind to relax and to think about yourself. And in that meditation is to discover your enlightenment, to discover, as the hint, some of the beliefs say that to reach that ultimate actualization where you are content with yourself and forget about the world behind you, just close up to the voices outside there. So meditation helps a lot, and it's very healthy. Then of course the home environment plays a very important role. So your environment where you are staying, just the environment inside the house can have a therapeutic influence, or it can affect you. Having a garden at your house, just walk into your garden, sitting there, hearing the birds, coming into your house, it's clean, going into your bed, the bed is good, there are so many. So your environment at home can have an effect on your health, and it can become very therapeutic. Then of course spiritual wellness, we've talked about this, is where you believe in a spirituality, believe in God, believe that there is more to life than just the physical, and it's where through meditation that you can experience that spiritual wellness. That's why some people practice different exercises just for them to be in tune with their spirituality, because as you know that you are a human being that lives in a body, and you have a soul, your mind, but you are a spirit. So And it's very important that you have to come in touch with your spirit, with your true self, with who you are. And being in that state of spiritual wellness, it's very important. So in your assignment, when you are going to discuss this holistic health, you have to bring out those aspects with, of course, practical example. And you have to explain in detail why it is very important to have this different therapies. So I hope that this presentation helped you, and it will serve as a guide for you for your assignment. And I will encourage you to make reference to your study guide, study manual, and then from time to time you can listen to this YouTube presentation. And I wish you all the best with your assignment. Thank you.